is marking him.
Very few alien species in science fiction command the respect and fear that the Yautja do. First seen in the 1987 film Predator, this species quickly stole the spotlight and became a cult favorite franchise with 6 more films. In fact, crossovers with the Alien franchise spawned an additional 2 movies. The titular predators of the film are towering hunters guided by a strict code of honor. Initially, it might seem like they're killing for sport, but dive a little deeper and you'll realize that the pursuit of their prey is rooted in what defines them as a species. From the careful selection of the right prey to the usage of trophies and pre-hunt rituals, every act carries a symbolic meaning, even if it's not brutal. Across the franchise, these dynamic rituals talk of an alien society bound by traditions, hierarchy, and respect for the hunt. Prepare to unravel the code of the galaxy's most deadly hunters and discover what it's like to be a predator as we take you on a quest detailing 20 rituals that you'll only see on a predator hunt. Hope you're well armed. Before we get into this list, we do have a very quick request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to the channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. The blooding ritual, rite of passage. This is a sort of initiation ritual for younger Yautja, demonstrating their eagerness to join the ranks of the elite hunters. The blooding ritual is performed at the end of the first hunt and needs to be done according to the code of the hunt followed by the species. It typically involves marking oneself with acidic xenomorph blood, but the blood of any adversary can count. Once a predator is successful in slaying a xenomorph, they're ready to mark themselves with the blooded symbol. It differs according to each clan, but usually it looks like a thunderbolt sign in the comics and 2 separate lines in the first Alien vs. Predator film. This symbol also needs to be made with the finger of the dead xenomorph. The acid permanently brands the symbol on the forehead of the predator, which can burn initially, but it's nowhere close to what actual combat with an adult xenomorph feels like. The Yautja then lets out a thunderous roar to mark his initiation, intended to strike fear into the hearts of any remaining enemies nearby. Honor code in hunting. The Yautja honor code in hunting is rigorous. There are a number of different facts that have been derived from different sources. They also have different rules for the hunting of intelligent species. Anyone without a blood mark cannot engage in this at all, but some hunters want this law to be overturned. One of the most popular codes is about the prey being worthy enough to hunt. It has to be a fair fight, otherwise there's no pride in victory. The prey needs to be able to defend itself or have the ability to kill the predator, and it also needs to be of age. Killing children and the elderly is seen as an act of cowardice. The prey must also not be linked to other forms of life, so that its death will only kill itself and not anyone else. Pregnant prey, for example, cannot be harmed. Lastly, the prey cannot be inherently weak due to disease. In the same vein, it's considered noble to equalize the odds while killing anyone, so the less equipment used by the Yautja, the more pride they take in their win. The hunters need to give a fighting chance to the prey for the sake of honor. Their prey's choices are also taken into account. For instance, if it demands close combat fighting, then the predator cannot use long-range weapons or anything that's a projectile. If the Yautja fails in a particular quest, depending on the level of difficulty, it's considered a great shame. In order to retain their honor, they're supposed to take their own lives as punishment. However, many cowardly Yautja choose not to do this and live in obscurity instead. This is considered extremely dishonorable, and an enforcer is usually sent to assist with suicide in such cases. Equality is also an important feature of the hunt. Anyone who is defeated in a fair hunt, or someone who won fair and square in a deadly hunt, needs to be treated with the same kind of respect. Doing no harm to innocents is something the predators live by. If someone does no harm to them, they should be treated accordingly. However, this rule probably only applies to other Yautja, as the predators hunt and kill members of many species that can be considered innocent. Also, it's possible that this rule is ignored by certain bad blood predators. Only the weak are taken when the hunt is meant for food, and this keeps the line of species pure. If a Yautja comes across game that has been wounded by another hunter and it's dying without sport, then he must honor the other's kill. However, if the prey continues to show sport, then it can be a joint trophy for both members. Joining the hunt of another predator, or even hunting in their territory, isn't allowed unless prior permission is given for the same. In this way, if trophies are collected, they are all considered to be stolen trophies, and the rightful owner reserves the ability to deal with them in a way that they see fit. It's considered hunting ethics to reveal oneself while dueling with an enemy or prey. In the novelization of AVP, Lex Woods was about to be killed by a cloaked predator who deactivated his cloak before landing the final blow. This was done to reveal himself during the climax of the fight. The movie portrayed this differently Unfortunately, however, as the predator remained cloaked while attempting to kill her for good. There are certain weapons, such as the blazer and electroshock missile battery, which are strictly meant for warfare and prohibited from use during hunts. In fact, no one other than military-class hunters are allowed to use them for any purpose. They're extremely destructive weapons that will only result in needless overkill during hunts. The Yautja are pretty defensive about being pure as a species and don't accept any genetic modifications. Pred aliens, or human Yautja hybrids, are meant to be killed on sight, and this takes precedence over any ongoing fight. The creators of these abominations are also usually sentenced to death using the torture ritual. Lesser intelligent and sapient species are absolutely forbidden from discovering and utilizing Yautja technology in any way. Any hunter who knowingly or intentionally allows any other species to possess the technology and knowledge of his own will be sentenced to death immediately. Someone who does the same without knowing is banished for good. Unless he makes an attempt to recover the technology or destroy it, then submits himself for appropriate punishment. If any lesser species possesses Yautja knowledge, the same is to be destroyed immediately. Humans in particular are strictly forbidden from knowing anything about predator technology, and in case they do, they're considered fair game for hunters regardless of their status. The harm their technology can do in human hands supersedes any other consideration. However, there are numerous exceptions to these rules, proving that Yautja society isn't completely inflexible and makes adjustments if and when required. In the franchise, many predators have engaged in behaviors that would otherwise label them bad bloods, but they were never reprimanded or punished. For example, the rule about fighting worthy game can be amended slightly if the prey weakened by disease becomes a threat or refuses mercy. Unarmed or innocent beings can also be hunted if they are particularly considered targets, possess Yautja technology, as we mentioned, and don't surrender it willingly, or are hosts for chest bursters during xenomorph outbreaks. A child can be considered collateral damage if it's killed during a xenomorph mission or is armed, even if it's weak. Another loophole in one of the rules during corrective hunting or purification rituals is that other humans can be allowed to join the hunt of an elite hunter without his prior approval. In a case on LV-742, the Council of Ancients chose 2 successor clans to test their worth by assigning them exclusive hunting rights to the planet. Although the clans deemed each other bad bloods, neither was condemned since the authorization had come from the Council. In rare situations where the hunt turns deadly even for the predator, the Yautja, especially the military class, can use highly destructive weapons to achieve their objective by any means necessary. Some of these situations can be unauthorized or uncontrolled xenomorph infestations, destroying or recovering Yautja technology, killing genetic abominations, responding to distress calls from other hunters, or outright warfare. While the Yautja are extremely strict about not leaving traces of their advanced technology, in some cases, humans who have proved to be worthy of respect have been exempt from punishment. Greyback the Elder gifted Adelini a Yautja sword, although posthumously. Lex Woods, the first blooded human, was also given a combi stick by a Yautja elder. Machiko Noguchi earned the respect of clan leaders Topknot and Deshande and was allowed to live among the species as a blooded member. She was granted the exclusive privilege of accessing their technology and knowledge until her return to her own world. The marking/demarking ceremony. The exact meaning and significance of the mark differs from clan to clan. In some, all hunters have the same mark. The isolated clan's mark is said to have certain spiritual and religious connotations and has the shape of a lightning bolt due to being connected to extraterrestrial Odin. However, it's not unique to this clan alone since it has also been seen outside of it. Some other sources suggest that the mark is a sign of learning from a particular teacher, and every teacher has their unique mark. Many hunters are seen without marked masks, which can suggest that they don't wear them beyond the first hunt. Some Yautjas are also seen without marked flesh, which could be due to the mark's healing. However, there is a possible explanation for those who don't possess marks. Perhaps they were demarked, and although it's not very clear what this entails, it could be a Yautja voluntarily giving up the life and way of a hunter under acceptable circumstances. Machiko Noguchi, for example, was demarked after leaving the Ryushi hunters and choosing her humanity over the glory of the hunt. This was a dishonorable act to the predators who removed her mark and ended the attachment she shared with them. Demarking is similar to marking because a xenomorph's acidic blood is used for both. It involved burning the skin around the mark, making it indistinguishable from the scarred, marked skin. Non-Yautja initiation. While blooding rituals are generally only done for the Yautja themselves, in some rare cases, it's possible for other species to get involved. These non-Yautja serve as hosts mainly because youngbloods do not prioritize them in the hunt unless they obsessively get in the way. However, if they join in on the slaughter of xenomorphs, even for survival as opposed to a ritual, the Yautja will respect this act. This has only happened thrice with Alexa Woods, Eldon, and Machiko Noguchi. The role of elders and enforcers. Any predator who violates the honor code is considered bad blood and an insult to Yautja culture. If they are encountered, death awaits them for failing their species. Certain predators are tasked specifically with hunting down those hunters who have broken codes and not submitted themselves for punishment. They are called enforcers or arbitrators. Trophy collection rituals. No Yautja can claim the kill of another hunter, and doing so is a huge insult. This cannot be done even if one of the predators has died. For instance, suppose two unblooded predators go on a hunt to kill a xenomorph, and one of them mortally injures the latter before dying himself. Then, the other predator cannot simply land the killing blow and consider it his own kill and abandon the wounded or dead Yautja. This is a serious crime and has to be paid in abandonment or death. This rule about not claiming the kill of another hunter can be flexible at times. This is especially pertinent during corrective hunting or purification rituals, where the destruction of the target is more important than honoring the kill. As long as the target is dead, the ownership of the trophy can be shared, but it might be considered unworthy of winning. This exception is applicable mostly when pred aliens are involved, particularly pred queens. Mercy and respect for worthy opponents. As we mentioned earlier, if the Yautja feels that the prey is unworthy or unarmed or simply just not good enough to hunt, he may opt for mercy and move on with his hunt. However, if any prey rejects the mercy shown by the predator, they are considered fair game. A Yautja can also kill a mortally wounded prey to put it out of its misery. Bad blood predators and ritual exile. We glossed over the bad blood predators earlier, but here's a more detailed explanation. The feud between these predators and the regular Yautja is often associated with the blooding ritual, but it's not exclusively linked to the same. The bad bloods are those who have knowingly broken the rules of the hunt and have been made outcasts of the community, branded for death to be hunted down by the enforcers and elites. In fact, the bad blood predators do not necessarily have to be blooded themselves. A young blood can become one immediately after committing a crime, like murdering another Yautja. There is a good example of bad bloods in the comic Predator Homeworld, where 3 crazed Yautja killed many of their clan members and fled to Earth. However, an ancient predator hunted them down. Most bad bloods are generally killed, except those that somehow manage to escape to the farther reaches of space, such as the rogue space tribe. The hunt's order of events: preparation, execution, celebration. 3 to 5 young predators go on the first hunt, and then they are monitored by an elder predator who is usually an experienced hunter from a hidden ship. The targets are usually xenomorphs, or Kionde Amedha in Yautja tongue, meaning hard meat. The younger predators are well armed, but their suits aren't resistant to acid, and they have to earn the usage of long-range weapons. While this is an interesting custom, it's not foolproof. It's not unusual for none of the young bloods to come back in one piece. For example, in the hunt in Antarctica in 2004, Scar the predator was blooded but failed to return to his species alive. Developing a predator's state of mind. Predators are born with the DNA of apex hunters. They grow up watching hunters be elevated in their society and honoring the process. When they come of age, they have had enough time to develop the mindset of a true predator, which they execute in their hunts. It's a year-round interplanetary ritual with no breaks or off-seasons. It's a way of life, not an episodic sport. The ritual of catch and release across predators. For the Yautja, the hunt is never recreational or casual. It's a rite of passage that proves honor and valor, and they view it as part of the cycle of life and death. They refuse to kill prey that they feel is unworthy, and in doing so, they acknowledge the gravity of taking the prey's life. Therefore, there is a clear contrast between honorable killing and wanton slaughter. The Yautja also see their death as part of the honor that comes from the hunt. To die in combat against a worthy opponent is not something to be ashamed of. This raises a deeper theme of not avoiding death mindlessly, but understanding where one stands in the eternal cycle of death and regeneration. Finally, the Yautja honor the idea of catch and release, because their respect for their prey's strength and perseverance often results in gestures where they release survivors, either by letting them go or blooding them. In some ways, predators do not hunt solely to dominate, but also to understand life beyond their knowledge. Ritualistic use of trophies in clan hierarchies. Yautja society is built around rank, which is dependent on achievements. Trophies are visible evidence of that hierarchy. Young bloods stand at the lowest rung of the ladder as they have just come of age and have yet to prove themselves in their first hunt. The initiation depends on whether they can manage to bring back a trophy from a worthy opponent, like a xenomorph. Blooded hunters are above the young bloods as they have proven their mettle in hunts. Above them are the elites and enforcers who make sure to keep the others in check. Finally, the elders are ancient predators who have legendary trophies and reserve the right to judge others. Pre-hunt meditation and focus rituals. The Yautja choose worthy prey, survey environments, and utilize their technology to improve their chances of success. They don't wander aimlessly looking for prey, but strategize and strike when the time is right. While it's not entirely clear how these hunters focus before striking their prey from the movies, we can safely assume that there's a considerable amount of preparation that goes into it. Lessons from failure. The ritual of honoring losses. As mentioned previously, the same kind of respect is shown to a Yautja who was defeated in a fair hunt and someone who won fair and square in a deadly hunt. In some cases, failing to hunt is considered a sign of dishonor, but otherwise, when predators recognize that their prey or prey equivalent is worthy enough for what we described earlier as catch and release, they honor their own loss and show mercy. The ritual of predator-killing contests. Controversial tradition. Murdering a peer is considered an offense of the highest degree. Whether done intentionally or unintentionally, it's a horrible crime. This only excludes instances of self-defense and the killing of an opponent to settle a dispute. Therefore, predator-killing contests aren't conducted within their own kind. There are some exceptions to the murder rule, especially with regards to bad bloods who are considered to bring dishonor and shame to their communities. Moreover, predators consider mixed genetics to be a sign of an abomination, so killing those creatures is well within bounds. Electronic calling devices and ritual luring. Their language is a complex form of communication utilizing clicks, roars, body language, and voice mimicry. This is used not just to coordinate hunts, but also to intimidate prey and express dominance. They have a written language consisting of symbols which can be seen on their wrist gauntlets and biomask displays, which might indicate instructions or numbers for a self-destruct sequence. The ritual of disposal, hiding and discarding animal bodies. Yautja hunts are ritual blood sports since they engage in violent ritualized acts and display trophies from successful hunts. Their propensity to discard unworthy opponents is more of an unconventional way of purging themselves of dishonor in a similar way to how humans discard things that have little competitive or aesthetic value. Ritual cheating and rule circumvention. While the predator hunters have a strict code of honor to adhere to, their technological edge in terms of cloaking technology and weaponry often gives them a substantial advantage over their prey. In some ways, this challenges the code of honor they have about their hunts. Family involvement. Youth rituals and generational tradition. The Yautja society operates through different clans, but all of them have the same shared rituals about the hunt, even if their blooding marks are different. It's never explicitly mentioned, but it is hinted that clan leaders and teachers train young hunters, teaching them the way of the hunt, and in some cases, the marks the hunters get depend on their teachers. All of this is done in accordance with ancient codes that have been passed down for years. The blooding ritual, which we've explained in detail, is considered the most important generational tradition among the species. It marks the initiation of young predators and is a method of social belonging. Legal and ethical rituals, state bans, and activist actions. The Yautja Code of the Hunt stands as a parallel to the legal and ethical frameworks that exist in human culture. While violence is the norm, it is still governed through ritualistic constraints. We've explored these in detail earlier in the video, as well as talked about how the predators have ways to regulate and punish those who go beyond the bounds of the code. Therefore, the prime goal might be the death of the prey, but even that lies within some moral bounds, such as purification rituals and corrective hunting methods. Marvelous verdict. Ritualized violence has been elevated to a social order in the Predator franchise. What makes the Yautja so interesting isn't just their technology or way of thinking, but the way they adhere to their hunting code. The strict hierarchies of honor maintain a careful balance between chaos and equilibrium. Their society, in some ways, mirrors a self-regulating ecosystem where every hunt carries a consequence. What do you think about the implications of these rituals? Do they negate the Yautja's nature of aggression and bloodlust? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. And while you're down there, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Otherwise, thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and have a marvelous day.